Today we're going to make one of my favorites, and I'm pretty sure it's going to become one of your favorites as well. Welcome to Grow and Preserve. I'm Carter. I'm so glad you're here today. Let's get started. Today we're going to make pear chutney. This is probably my most requested chutney from friends and family who have been over to the house to try it. Everybody wants pear chutney, so I'm going to make a bunch and hopefully have enough to give as some Christmas gifts to friends and neighbors this year. So we'll see. I'm going to do a triple batch. I did a triple batch last year and I just have a few jars left, so this probably won't be my only batch, but this will be the first batch. So I bought a 6-pound box of pears from Costco. Now for a single batch of this recipe you only need 2 pounds of pears, but you only make 3 8-ounce jars. So I'm going to make 9 8-ounce jars, which means I'm definitely making another one. Last year I did it in 4-ounce jars, and I thought that was going to be great. But every time we had friends over and I put this on a board, or we had pork tenderloin and I served it with it, I always needed to open another jar. So this year I'm just going to go straight for the 8-ounce jars, and I will definitely make a couple of batches of it. So let's get started with this. This is from Fine Cooking. I will post a link to this recipe below because sometimes a search returns it and sometimes it doesn't. So I will do the best I can to get that link and post it below because it is a fantastic recipe. Okay, so this is going to be a hot pack water bath recipe. It's super easy. It does stay on the stove for about 45 minutes to get it cooked down enough to the right consistency, but then you only water bath it for 10 minutes. So it really doesn't take that long. The longest part is probably peeling and dicing the pears, which I will do off camera for your benefit. I'll show you one just to show you how I do it, but you can do that however the heck you want. So our first step now is to get the sugar dissolved into the liquid. So we're going to start with a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. So remember, I am tripling this recipe, so I'm going to do 1.5 cups, and this is actually allulose. Sugar is what it calls for. Brown sugar actually is what it calls for. But if you want to use allulose and a little bit of blackstrap molasses, that's fine. If you want to use white sugar and blackstrap molasses, that's fine. I'm going to use the allulose and blackstrap molasses. And it says light brown sugar, so I'm not going too heavy on the molasses. This is not it's a little sweet from the pears, but it's not a tremendously sweet recipe. It does have some heat. It has jalapenos in it, and it does have some spice because it has candied ginger in it, which is one of my all-time favorite things. It's I don't know. You have to be careful when I have to be careful when I bring it into the house because I can sit there and it's just covered in sugar. So I try not to do that very often unless I have a recipe planned. Okay, so light brown sugar is in. Then if you're doing a single recipe, it's 1/2 cup of cider vinegar. I'm doing 1.5 cups of cider vinegar. And let me see, jalapeno. All right, so I did some of my chopping last night. Wish I could have chopped the pears last night. They would have been totally brown. So I did my jalapeno. It is 2 tablespoons of seeded and minced. I'm doing, actually that's kind of a little over 6 tablespoons. That's probably closer to 8. But it would be for a triple recipe 6 tablespoons of jalapenos. Just a tiny little dice. They'll add some heat. They will mellow as it sits on the pantry shelf. This whole thing will mellow. So it might be a little zippy when you taste it before you put it in the jars, but it'll mellow out. Okay, so the minced jalapenos, a 2-inch cinnamon stick. So I'm going to put in 3 of these. Probably 3-inch cinnamon sticks, but 1 little one and 2 big ones. And a whole clove. And so it's going to take you a little bit to find this clove when after it's boiled down, because you don't want to stick the clove in there. Somebody will break a tooth on it, right? So you got to go find this little sucker, and they're not the easiest thing in the world to find. But so keep strong count on how many you put in there. So don't just dump some. So it says 1 clove for a single recipe. I'm going to put in 3, and then I'm going to try to find the 3 biggest ones, quite frankly. And then we're going to try to fish them out when it's time. All right, I have 3 in there. I'm gonna see how that goes. Okay, now I'm gonna get this on the stove, let the sugar, in my case the allulose, melt down a bit, and we're gonna start talking about peeling the pears. All right, the vinegar and sugar mixture is on the stove. Let's get the next round of ingredients ready. So let me see here. I'm gonna do 6 pounds of firm ripe pears. And these are, I guess, yeah, they're still firm ripe. I probably should have done this yesterday, but you know, life sometimes gets in the way. So I'm gonna do this today and they'll be just fine. They're not overripe by any stretch. And then 1 cup of finely diced onion for a single batch. I have 3 cups here that I chopped up yesterday. And it would normally be 1/4 cup of dried cranberries. I have 3/4 cup of dried cranberries here. 1/4 cup of chopped crystallized ginger. So I have 3/4 of a cup. This is the stuff that gets me. I could sit and eat that like the entire container. Just probably not a very wise idea, give it all the sugar. We're gonna have mustard seeds. So it'll be, for my triple batch, it'll be 3 teaspoons of mustard seeds. And then some grated fresh ginger and some kosher salt. So let's get a pear going. And I won't make you sit through peeling and coring and dicing all the pears. And I will show you once how I do it here. It's a quarter, take out the core. And then I just chop it in half, so it would really be 1/8 of the pear. And then I take a little paring knife and I'm just peeling this off. Doesn't have to be perfect. Pears are going to break down quite a bit, so your dices don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have every speck of peel off of them. They'll be just fine. You won't notice any of that. So pears, you know, their normal season is going to be later in the summer. These are from Argentina, I think. So I was a little surprised to see them in Costco. One of you had mentioned that you found a great deal on them in Costco, and they were a great deal. Remember now, I want to say they were $11 for the 6-pound package, which seemed fine to me. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and get some of this on the shelf. And then maybe when we have some fresh local pears later this summer, I'll make another batch. I had a request to do some, you know, teacher gifts, friends, family, neighbors, mailman, you know, whatever, whoever you give gifts to during the holidays, to do a series, put together a playlist, if you will, on YouTube for items that are great little gift ideas. So I think I'm going to do that. So some of these will go into that, and some of them will be, some of the videos will be specifically designed for that. So look for that. Probably get the list, the playlist put together once I do it first. That's just, you know, specifically for the little gift ideas. So look for that over the summer, and we will all be ready, hopefully, for the holidays when they suddenly sneak up on us, even though we can see them coming from 12 months away. I always end up scrambling at the last minute. You know, why didn't I make something when it was in season? Because, you know, I've got all these neighbors, or you have hostess gifts, you know, you're going to someone's house for dinner or a cocktail party or whatever. I like to take something, and I want to take something that looks and sounds yummy. It's not too difficult for them to figure out the best way to use it. So this would be, you know, you could put a little card on there saying, you know, serve it with pork tenderloin or with cheese and crackers or meats, or a lot of different ways to use this. Once I get this on the stove, I'm going to make myself some lunch, and I'll show you a couple ways I like to use it, although frankly, there aren't many things I wouldn't put this pear chutney on. And here my It has come to a boil and all the sugar seems to be dissolved back there, so I'm just going to turn it off and let it wait for me. And I'm going to get the rest of these pears chopped up because it could take a while. And then we'll be back and get the rest of this going. And I'll go over these ingredients again too, so don't worry if you missed it. And again, I'll try to put the link below. All right, with you in a minute. All right, I'm back with the pears, peeled and diced, and the timing worked out perfectly. As soon as I turned off the camera, my neighbor started mowing his lawn, and then fire trucks went down the street, and then he started blowing his back deck. Now he's weed whacking, so we're going to try to get through this without all the crazy noise. All right, so I have all of my pears. Here, I'm going to put those in the dish. We'll add the rest of the ingredients. And this is going to go on the stove for 45 minutes. Oh, and I wanted to show you, while I was waiting for the deck to finish being blown off, I did make some, or started some pear scrap vinegar. So that'll be exciting to have. Sometimes pear scrap vinegar works for me, sometimes it doesn't. I think that it's because it's very hard to find organic pears. At least for me, it has been. So sometimes I feel like maybe no matter how much I wash them, there's something on there that is preventing a good clean vinegar from coming out. So we'll see. All right, so I have my 6 pounds of peeled, diced, cored pears in there. Here's my my cinnamon stick there. All right, let's get, for my triple batch, I'm going to put in 3 cups of very finely diced onions. I did those on camera for you so I didn't cry. It did hurt my finger doing those, but you know, I think I'll live. Okay, so this is the, this is the crystallized ginger. I get this at Sprouts. But I've also seen a version at Costco, and they also have it at Trader Joe's. I don't know that they have it in reasonable quantities at other places. I know that like Publix will have a McCormick jar of it kind of around the holidays, but it's insanely expensive for a little jar that size. So do your best to find that in bulk somewhere, and then try not to eat the whole thing before you get to make the recipe. And then this for my triple batch is 3/4 of a cup of cranberries. And let's see, mustard, a teaspoon of mustard seed. So I'm going to triple that and make a tablespoon of mustard seeds. And then I pulled out my ginger and found that it had seen better days. So I'm going to use some already minced ginger. Not ideal. If you have fresh ginger, use it. But this is what I'm going to use today. Okay. So normally that would be a teaspoon. Triple batch would be a tablespoon. And then just a little bit of salt. For this batch, it'll be about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And we are ready to go on the stove. Get this stirred up. I'm going to bring this up to a boil gently, and then I'm going to reduce it to a simmer. And I'm going to put the lid on and let it go for 45 minutes. Get all these flavors melted together. Can you start to see how difficult it's going to be to pull the clove out? Had I been thinking, I probably would have used some ground clove, but this is what I did, so we'll try to get it all together. This is what I did last time too, and I did find them. So we will see. It'll cook down quite a bit, make it a little bit easier. All right, I'm going to get this on the stove, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that I like to use pear chutney. This is one from June of last year. So we're going to get into that in a second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm going to show you how the pear chutney is going to turn out. This has been on the shelf since June of 2022. It is now May of 2023, so almost a year. I'm gonna make this a couple of different ways that I like to do it. There are several though. One of my favorite ways is on pork tenderloin. It is just something about the pear and the pork tenderloin are just fantastic together. So I can, hope you can see that. I'm gonna bring you down here, I think. That'll be better. Let me move you up. That's a little bit better. So here is what the pear chutney looks like when you just first open it. I'm gonna mix it up with a fork here. See that there are the cranberries in there, a little bit of jalapeno. It doesn't fall out. It's nice and thick. Take a taste. It's great. It's not nearly as hot, spicy, as when you first make it. It really mellows over time. It's absolutely delicious. So I have put out for myself some salami and some of my 5-seed crackers that I make. I know I've done those in a video. If I can find it, I'll link it up above. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the chutney here on the side because it's so good with the some kind of a strong tasting meat. So this may be prosciutto, it may be salami, it may be any kind of, I think really a cured meat is really good with that. So just pull out, if you were doing a, a meat and cheese platter when people come over, just pull out whatever little meats you put on it. It's just excellent with it. And then get a good salty, crunchy cracker and it's gonna be a terrific bite. Now, here's what I'm gonna do with the rest of this. I have, I don't know, maybe a third of a jar left. I'm going to make myself a little salad dressing. I've chopped up some greens from the garden. So in goes the chutney. Then I'm going to use a little apple cider vinegar, but I can use whatever vinegar suits you. Alright, it's a little bit of apple cider vinegar in there. I'm going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in there. I'm going to shake this up and we'll taste it and see if it has enough of everything in there. I think I'll put a little more vinegar in there. Shake that up one more time and then I'm going to toss it on the salad. So here's just a plain green salad. Lettuce that I grew. Pour that right on top. Sorry if you can hear my neighbors. I guess that's his weed whacker. Maybe he has the blower out again. I don't know. So I try not to film on Saturdays around here. It gets a little loud in the yards. Okay, there's my salad. All right, pear chutney. So I'll bring you up and we'll take a taste of all this. All right, let's have a little taste of the salad first. This is really a fun way to use up any extra chutney if there's any floating around the refrigerator. The fruit is just so good in it. A little bit of heat, the ginger, it's really delicious in salad dressing. All right, so remember that's one great way to use this. Now let's make up a cracker. So I have a little bit of seed cracker, a little bit of salami, and a big hunk of the pear chutney. So in we go. That is such a good combination. Oh my goodness. If you eat cheese, if you have some goat cheese, that would be excellent with it as well. Oh my gosh, that is such a good combination. I could just eat the cheese, salami, I mean the crackers, the salami, and the chutney. But I will eat my brain salad for lunch. All right, now we'll be back as soon as the chutney is ready for the next step. I'll see you soon. All right, so I've just removed the lid. It's been 45 minutes, and we're gonna let this cook down for another 10 minutes, just to thicken up just a bit. I wanted to show you that I did find, you can see that. I wanted to show you that I did find all of the cinnamon sticks, one of them broken apart a little bit, and all 3 of the cloves. That was no easy feat. So I'm gonna make a note on my recipe for next time to use ground cloves instead of trying to find all those things. The first 2 were easy to find. That third one, he was quite the little bugger to find. So anyway, we did get everything out. I have all my jars in the canner heating up. Since this is a hot pack, we're gonna get the jars hot before we load them. This is looking really lovely. Get just a little bit thicker before we put it in the jars. I'm going to put just a touch in a little container here, let it cool off a bit. It's been a long time since I've tasted this as it was preparing to be canned, so I want to kind of give you a way to judge the heat level, because it's not really spicy at all once it has sat on the pantry shelf for a while. Alright, so as soon as that cools off, I'll taste test that, so you have something to judge yours by. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes. We're getting ready to can this, so let's do a little taste test for you. Still not terribly spicy, but it is a little spicier now than it will be after the flavors have melded together. It's really good. I mean, it's really good. This is a really good one to give as a gift. All right, let me get the jars out of the canner and we'll get loading them up. All right, we'll do 4 at a time. I have this big old monster canner over here. You would think that I would have gotten myself a mid-sized canner by now for water bath canning. I have this huge one. I'm going to have a very small batch one. This is going to be kind of in between, so I have a lot of filler jars in there. I'm going to fill these to 1/2 inch. Come back and check those after we debubble. I did pull out some 4-ounce jars, just in case we go over. I may do a little anyway, just because they're so fun just to pull out when David and I want something. One may be a little overfilled. Let's debubble these. I'm going to use the end of a plastic fork. It's a little over. Let me transfer just a bit of that. Okay, that's good. Let's clean them up. Make sure you do a good job wiping off these rims. With the sugar in there, they'll be extra sticky. As you can see, I had a little bit there, so always make sure you do that. I can even see a little bit here that I missed. Okay, just until they catch, and then just a little bit farther. These jars are very hot. Okay, everybody's in the water bath canner. I'm going to put the lid on, wait for it to come to a full rolling boil, and then I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes. So I ended up getting 8 half pints and 3 quarter pints. So in total, 9 half pints plus a quarter pint. So the recipe said it was going to make 9 half pints for a triple recipe. So that to me is right on perfect. So we'll come back when these are done and I'll show you how they look. All right, these are all out of the canner. They've all sealed. They're looking beautiful. The taste on this is it's just so tasty. It really is. It's so good. And they're not too hot or too spicy to do something sweet with, some sort of dessert. So I'll work on doing something else for one of the Cooking from the Pantry episodes, and I'll give you some more ideas for it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.